welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we're going to be talking about the latest news update for the month of October as we are getting into that spooky season and what to expect with Sea of Thieves. All that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to support this content. And while I wish that I had some more good news to talk about in this episode, by the end of the episode, I ended up being a little bit deterred and just a little frustrated. So I understand that that's going to come across as kind of ranty. So bear with me as I get through this episode and hope for more interesting news to come out in the coming weeks from Sea of Thieves as we get closer and closer towards Act 3 for the season 17 and looking forward to what season 18 is going to hold. But that does not deter the fact that I love and appreciate the patrons, the ones that are supporting the content to help continue to make sure that if we do have good weeks, we talk about good weeks. If we have bad weeks, we talk about why bad week and this bad week. So me not happy about Halloween not being cool thing. So yeah, bad week. So anyway, thank you to A Chick, L Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chonky, Captain Longsharts, Chateau Noof, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Crazy Frog, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Carl Embo of Embo Family Gaming, Kylia the Aficionado, Elvin Vramir, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Rabid Raccoon, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, who recently celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday, Rusty. Sea Leg Sam, Shoe Daddy 13, Scamel 666, Tales of the Sea, The Demon Jester, Tommy D, TN Professor, Wailing Witch, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Hegger Owl, Jeff H, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and Zam Wow. Thank you all so much for your love, for your support, for your constant friendship. It's always a pleasure to get to chat with you all. So I really appreciate the support as always. And pirates, with that, let's get into it. First on today's docket, let's talk about some of the changes that are coming to Sea of Thieves, but not in the way that you would anticipate. There's been some changes that have been going on, and if you guys don't know, kind of in the whole of like Xbox, and this is going to mostly pertain to folks on the Xbox ecosystem. Xbox has decided that they are going to be raising the cost of Game Pass. Now, this isn't for all tiers. This is only for Ultimate and for PC, which from my perspective kind of takes most of the folks that are playing on Game Pass, and they are going to be raising the cost. Now, for PC, they're going to be bringing up the cost from, I believe it's $12 to $16.50. So keep an eye on that if you are using Game Pass. For Ultimate, that is where they're actually going to be raising the cost from $20 a month to $30 a month in the United States. Now, obviously, it's going to be different depending on where you're at, if they do it at all. But one of the things that I wanted to call out about this is something that I've noticed as I was kind of reporting on this over on Xbox Expansion Pass, is that Sea of Thieves is one of those first party titles. And you may be wondering, okay, well, I don't necessarily want to pay $30 a month for Game Pass Ultimate. It's not something that I'm taking full advantage of. And because the cost is going up, I might want to look at something that's going to be more affordable. So while this isn't a way that you have to play the game, you don't have to play through Game Pass to be able to enjoy it. Obviously, you've got PlayStation 5, you've got Steam, you've got Xbox, PC, Battle.net, plenty of ways to enjoy Sea of Thieves. A lot of folks may want to take a look and kind of decide like, okay, is Game Pass Ultimate still a benefit to me? Am I still getting my value out of that at $30 a month. Now, they are going in and they are adding Ubisoft Classic, which is very similar to EA's kind of play system, where older content that EA has made is available through Game Pass Ultimate as a perk of having that tier. Ubisoft Classic will be something in line with that. So if you've ever wanted to jump into Assassin's Creed Black Flag and you just haven't purchased it, that is something that you will be able to enjoy if you stick with the Ultimate tier. With this, as it pertains to Sea of Thieves, I wanted to address something that might be on the question of some folks' minds when they are looking at how can I play Sea of Thieves without necessarily subscribing to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, aside from just buying the game themselves, but still wanting to get some perks from Game Pass. Well, what I wanted to let you know is that Game Pass has Sea of Thieves on there for the Xbox Game Pass PC edition, the Premium Edition, and the Ultimate Edition. Now, the Premium Edition, that has not changed. That will stay at the $15 a month that it currently is. You will get access to PC and xCloud. So you'll actually be able to stream games now if you need to ever do that, which has saved me in the past when it comes to drops or jumping in for login bonuses or things like that. Definitely nice that has happened in the past. The other aspect of it is the PC Game Pass, which is $16.50 a month. That is something that is not very widely advertised. They really don't want to talk about that because, for all intents and purposes, the change to the system is mostly geared towards capitalizing on console players and them going from $20 to 100% increase up to $30. Now, you are only going to benefit if you are a fan of Fortnite, because Fortnite Crew is going to be added into that Ultimate plan in November. When they actually open that up, what they'll do is that $12 subscription for Fortnite Crew will be included in your $30 charge for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, alongside the inclusion of the Ubisoft Classics and the EA Play. And that will actually give you about not necessarily $10, but roughly $10 worth of currency for Fortnite, in that Fortnite Crew as well too is the battle passes and some exclusive skins. You still get access to the day one games, and those will be available day one. Outside of that, if you switch to another plan, they will become available within a year of launching. So there's been some interesting changes. There's been some interesting discourse around it. And I think at this point, it is clear that a lot of folks are taking a look at what was just kind of it's such a good deal, it's not even worth worrying about the cost situation when it comes to Game Pass, and actually taking a look and saying like, okay, this is now one of the most expensive subscription services that I go with. And if I'm not taking advantage of Ubisoft Classics, if I'm not taking advantage of EA Play, if I don't play Fortnite and have no desire to jump into those, and I don't necessarily need day one games, is that money going to be well spent? Is that value still there? For myself personally, I am subscribed up to Ultimate until August of 2026, which means that I've got a fairly good lead time to kind of see how things shake out. I don't think this is something that Xbox is going to roll back, but if you're interested in trying to understand where can you still play Sea of Thieves if you decide you want to change your plan, the good news is that at least if you want, you can enjoy Sea of Thieves at the Xbox Game Pass Premium tier, which is the middle tier, and the Game Pass Ultimate tier for console. If you're on PC, you can pick up the PC Game Pass and get for a little bit more than 50% off, or a little bit more than what 50% of the Ultimate cost is. You'll get access to those features. And honestly, I think while not every game is going to come to PC Game Pass, PC Game Pass itself is still a pretty good deal. Not to say that there isn't value depending on who you are, but for all intents and purposes, you might want to, especially if you're a PC player, take a look at what Xbox offers for the PC side of things and see if that's something that you would take advantage of. Now, I know that a fair amount of folks are probably playing on PC, potentially through Xbox app, Battle.net, Steam. Those are all kind of the venues that we have at the moment to kind of play Sea of Thieves. So I'll be interested to hear if anyone is deciding that they are going to be changing up how they access Sea of Thieves, or maybe even just buying it outright. Because at the moment, that is very much an option. That is very much like something that if you want to do that, then you'll get the benefit of that. And I actually appreciate the fact that you are not restricted on being able to just buy Sea of Thieves and play it. The caveat there is that even if you're on console, you will still have to buy, at least at the bare minimum, Essential at $10 a month to be able to get that multiplayer. And this is something that I think really kind of sticks in me or bothers me to a degree that I wasn't, that really it shouldn't. But consoles for basically since Xbox Live have never benefited from the same mentality and culture that is around PCs as far as when it comes to multiplayer. With console, you still have to pay for a separate service if you want to play games online. And I think in my mind, if Xbox wanted to add value, all of their first party games, all the games that they make first party, should have multiplayer included in it. What better way to go than the Fortnite route, where Fortnite does not require you to pay for Xbox Game Pass to be able to stream it. You can play on your phone. If you want to stream on your browser, you can just pick up and play. Now, free to play games are completely free. You do not need to have a subscription for Xbox Game Pass to play those free to play games. So like Warzone, I believe Fortnite. I'm trying to think of some other ones now. I'm actually blanking on what some other first party stuff, or not first party, but free to play games are that allow you to be able to get that. Like Apex Legends, I think, is one of them. Gosh, I feel bad. Rocket League, maybe. I remember paying for Rocket League, so I'm not quite sure on that one. But any game that is effectively free to play on console, most of the companies don't charge you to play those games in multiplayer. So I would like to see like some changes there, but I doubt that that's going to happen. But if you're interested in the PC aspect of this and you want to see what Game Pass offers for that, for $16.50 a month, which bear in mind that is $1.50 more than the premium for console, you're going to get access to hundreds of PC games, new games on day one, including new Xbox published games and third-party games. You can earn up to $50 in a year in store rewards. And you're going to benefit from games like League of Legends and Call of Duty Warzone, including EA Play. The main thing that I have an issue with this is really it comes down to whether or not you want to have day one games. If you're a PC player and you want to have day one games, you can do that on the PC plan. Otherwise, you would have to go with Ultimate, which would also cover console. Now, if you don't have a console, that's not a big issue, but it will still give you access to those first party games to be able to play those day one, which is not something that the premium tier offers. Now, if you don't necessarily care about day one games because, Sea of Thieves is your main game and eventually you'll get to some of those ones, then you might want to consider going with the premium tier. The premium tier also has the ability to stream on supported devices, whether it be an Xbox console, PC, handheld, mobile, TV, VR, Xbox.com. You still get access to stream your games that you own. You can also stream games at 1080p and that you have shorter wait times. And one of the interesting things is that with Game Pass, and I've talked about this in the past, whenever they've had like the Sea of Thieves bundles, you always got a discount. If you had Game Pass Ultimate, you always got a discount. And it just cost less. They've actually removed that, and they've converted it from a straight cost discount on those things to earning bonus points on your account, which are like the Microsoft points that we've been working on for a while now. You get a bonus of those towards your account for any kind of add-on purchases and stuff like that. I think you can earn up to 4 times for Ultimate, 2 times for Premium, but there is a cap, as I understand it. And bear with me, because a lot of this stuff we are still trying to ensure that like we're getting the right messaging, that caveats are being taken into account, things like that. So kind of a shame. It's a real bummer that they had to do this. It definitely feels like there's a lack of hubris over on Xbox's side, as they just raised the console prices once more for, I think, the 2nd time in the US, 3rd time worldwide. And it doesn't really show any signs of stopping. It seems like they're past the point where they are using this as a loss leader to get a player base. And now they are going to hike up the cost to force users to pay more for the same stuff with a certain amount of value add here. Like, I'm not going to say that you're not getting as much as you did before, because you are getting what you had before. Plus you're getting a little bit more if you stick with the top tier. But the difference being is that the agency behind it is being stripped away, and you are going to have to make a choice, an active choice, to consolidate other services that you may pay for into this one service, and give up that sense of, I want to cancel X because I'm done playing Y, and save the money there. At the moment, if you don't do that and you're just going with Game Pass Ultimate, then you just have that as a benefit that's going to come in. And if you wanted to not pay for Fortnite Crew, there's no way to get a cheaper version of Game Pass that retains the day one aspect of that and some of the other perks that come in with that, and just have a cheaper version. You would have to downgrade the tier that you have, or just eat the cost of Ultimate. So one of those things where it's always interesting to kind of talk about this, because with Sea of Thieves being a first party title, it's always interesting to think about where this falls when Xbox starts to make choices towards their consumers on what's something that they're planning to do, whether you have or haven't played the game, or whether you have owned the game, or whether you have the game physically. Like I talked a couple of weeks ago about how maybe it was more than couple weeks ago, it was a few weeks ago, I think at this point, that I managed to snag a anniversary edition of the physical copy of Sea of Thieves. If I did not own that and I was purely going through Xbox Game Pass, if the $30 a month was something that was just a little too much for me to justify, if I wasn't going to be earning the value out of that, getting the value out of it that I should be, extracting the value from that, then I would seriously consider looking at what is it going to take for me to get into the game. They do have sales going on all the time, generally about 20% off. Sometimes they do 50, depending on the holiday season. And it's always worth it to kind of consider, is this something that is worth owning? Because Sea of Thieves is still a paid game. And is this something that if I buy it, do I want to continue paying for multiplayer on console, or maybe take a look at another venue where I can either stream it or, buy it on a PC and kind of go from there. So always kind of curious to hear some feedback on this. I know a lot of folks are starting to take a look at their finances and decide what luxuries are worth keeping that they feel like are still valuable. And with games as a service like this, and it being something that is not free to play, it definitely makes it a little bit tougher to say, like, okay, well, if I wanted to play Sea of Thieves, unless I'm on PC, I'm going to have to re-up my subscription if I decide to cut it. And that's kind of a shame to have to ask people to do. So curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. So outside of that, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that it looks like there has been a program that has found a way around Rare's kind of anti-cheat software. As we know, they've been using anti-cheat software to help prevent a lot of the issues that's been going on with PC. At present, starting to see videos of people who have been able to get a software up and running. It's allowed them to teleport with objects, whether they're taking loot or bringing kegs. And I would just remind everyone, if you do see this, if you do run into this, try and get video footage of it so that you can submit a report to Rare so that they can identify who the people are that are actually using this software, and then subsequently find out what software it is, and then work to patch that out. So that's going to be something that's unfortunately going to have to happen over the next kind of week or two as they are kind of working on that. So best thing I can recommend, as always, if you do run into this, try and get footage of it. Once that's done, if you can get away, try and get away. If you can't, your best recourse is honestly just to swap servers, and hope that they don't find the server that you're on, or they go harass someone else. Don't really give in to them to do anything. Like, just let them, if they're doing something and you can fight them and whatnot, you can kill them, apparently. But don't really feel like you need to engage with them verbally. They're trying to get a rise out of you. They're trying to upset you. And there's not really a point or reason, because it's just a video game. It's just pixels. At the end of the day, it's a loss of time, but it wasn't a fair fight. It wasn't anything that someone did that managed to get the better of you. They just used software to try and beat someone at the end of the day. And that's, at that point, there's not a whole lot you can really do about it if someone is just breaking the game to cheat for no real intent outside of just wanting to do it. Next on today's list, let us talk about the latest news release for Sea of Thieves. It's been a new month, and as always with a new month, there's always going to be something that's going on with Sea of Thieves that is good to talk about. So this month, unfortunately, does look like it is going to be a fairly light month outside of the actual update itself. It is the spooky season. I hope you all are getting your decorations up if you haven't already. I know mine have been up for quite some time at this point, and will probably continue to be up for some time after that, because I usually start in September with all my spooky stuff. But there's a really fantastic image of the crypt keeper, or the cryptid. I can't remember what it was, but it's Pumpkin Jack, the Wailing Witch, and the cryptic person costumes in and amongst a bunch of gourds. Some of the gourds and candles are floating in the image, and I genuinely don't know if that's because they just didn't crop it properly, or that was the intent, but it is a little weird. It's just a bunch of candles and pumpkins floating in the sky off of the ground. So anyway, talking about the news, Smuggler's Heist is still continuing. That is going until October 16th, which is about 10 days away. And to be perfectly honest, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how things go, because at present, I would argue that Sea of Thieves is at its lowest point of engagement with the player base as it has ever been. I know that Steam charts don't always tell the full story of what's going on, and that there's multiple stores that you can use, not only just in consoles, but also on PC, with it being like the Xbox app, Battle.net, Steam as ways to play on PC. Then you just have the consoles themselves with the Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, if you're out there, and of course, PlayStation 5. So looking at Steam charts does not really say a whole lot. But if you combine that with Twitch viewership, and you look at the Twitch viewership for Sea of Thieves as well, you'll start to notice that there is some kind of identifiers that maybe people aren't playing the game or watching the game as much. And that, if you look at those numbers, will kind of paint a picture. Because if I've been looking at just the last, well, ever since Steam had been, had Sea of Thieves, it's clear that right now Sea of Thieves is at its lowest, and unfortunately it's been something that is a steady decline. The last time the game really peaked was when Wild Seas came out and really saw a shot up of people who wanted to go check out the Ancient Megalodons. Looking at it now, we are getting to the point where Sea of Thieves is granted, like I'm looking at it during really off hours, right? Comparative. But if I were just to kind of talk about like what I'm looking at right now, the swing of players is going from anywhere from 5 to 9,000, and that's it. 5 to 9,000 people just on Steam. Granted, like I mentioned, Battle.net, Xbox app, Steam, Xbox consoles, PlayStation consoles, Xbox One consoles. There's lots of ways for people to play Sea of Thieves. And because of that, it really kind of kills like the strength in numbers when it comes to Steam, because it used to be about a 50-50 split between PC and Xbox, with 50% of those people coming from the Xbox app as well as Steam database. And so you could always take like that number and always split it in half, say that Steam was representative of anywhere between 15 to 25% of the PC player base. Harder to do so nowadays because it's segmented even more. But looking just at those numbers, it is a little concerning that at the moment, this is the most Rare has felt confident in their delivery method for seasons, as well as addressing as many bugs and features as they've been able to try and appease the consumer base with long requested features and fixes. To me, what I am taking away from this is that it is a very busy season for video games. There's a lot of really good video games out there, and a lot of those video games tend to be multiplayer as well. So that, aside from schooling, getting back in session, people are probably just not playing the game as much. So, and unfortunately, that's one of those things where you kind of have to take a look at October in general and see, okay, well, is October just a down month for Sea of Thieves? So looking at just for Steam database in 2022, October was a down year for 2022 with about 20,000 players. So you skip forward to 2023, October was actually an up month where they were up at 29,000. So then we skip forward to October of 2024, and they were a big dip down to just under 16,000. Now, if we're looking at October and we're getting into the swing of things, October is roughly 10,000 or 9,000. So I'm hoping that with the next adventure, or not the next adventure, what's it called? The next act in season 17, with act 3, that we'll see a bit of a bump in that people will actually be returning to the game to come check out the new content, because I think that the new content, while it is stuff that we have had, may actually be something that is unique enough to interest people to come back and check it out. So with all that being said, let's talk about what's actually coming in October. So the Smuggler's Heist is continuing. That is something that's going to be going up until October 16th. If you want, you can still head over to the Smuggler's Heist, talk to the Solomon probably, or someone to get the key, and then head over to Royal Crest Fortress, pick up that one painting, and then go sell it for the 175,000 gold, which again is going to be a lot of gold for a lot of people that have not been around the seas for a long time. If this is their, they want that gold, this is going to be a good way for them to get a ship, yada, yada, yada. And I think there's going to be less contention this late in the game. So I think a lot of folks are probably going to go do it real quick and not have to necessarily go find anyone to go fight some over it. Was it successful? I think it was. I think it was for a while. I think there's been more interest in it than I think some folks have thought about, which is good. I think that was the intent that Rare wanted, is to bring people together and for a short period of time offer them some time limited awards as well as a fair amount of gold to engage with it, which is going to kind of be like their go-to. That is kind of be their way of kind of dealing with stuff in the future. We saw it with the fortresses when they were using the Athena forts as a way to draw people together with the promise of a potential for the 15 Athena chests. So this being more of a certain thing takes kind of the guesswork out of it, means that fewer people are going to head to there because they either want to find out if it does, or they want to find out if it's contested or not. There's no guesswork in it, which is always interesting. Kind of a weird thing that people would rather go to a skeleton fort that they don't know is actually going to be a Athena chest, unless you're like literally glitching yourself in through the door to be able to see because you're using an emote. But that's one of those things that it's human psychology at that point, right? Like people are going to find reasons to go do something that they don't know is a promise of gold, as opposed to a sure thing like this, where they could very easily go and get it and turn it in. And I'm sure some people are. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much, because this event is actually going to finish up in the next week and a half, and it'll be kind of put on the back burner until future use. Next is the thing that I think I appreciate the most, which is actually the Festival of the Damned decorations are returning. And those are already in the game. Those came about 6 days ago on October 1st. So they've went ahead and brought in the spooky gourds and squashes, as well as the music, and just kind of brought those to the game during the month, which I always appreciate. The fact that you can celebrate for the entire month is the boons of even doing these kind of events, so that people can actually enjoy it for the times that they are able to play during the holiday season, when they may not necessarily get to do so right on like Halloween. So I'm glad that they did that. They're also releasing a new song on the 8th of October. So if, like me, you enjoy the music, they are going to be releasing the Forts of the Flame. That is going to be available for the upcoming release of the Reaper's Fortress experience as part of Act 3. So very curious to kind of see if people even listen to this, to be honest, because I think a lot of us don't really think too much of these songs, but they are increasing the actual like sound, or what's it called? Soundtrack. I was seriously reconsidering my words there. They are increasing the number of songs on the soundtrack, and having them do so just kind of speaks to their commitment to that. They do this once a month, and it's been nice to kind of see them go through that each time. So looking forward to that, especially given what I've already checked out with Act 3 on Insiders. I think it'll be very interesting to see people's opinions on this when it does actually come out. And speaking of Thursday, October 16th, which, bear in mind, this week is the week prior to that. I am anticipating maybe one video out this week, kind of talking about stuff coming up. Maybe a teaser, but next week anticipate the full barrage of the update, the developer update, and the gameplay update. So those videos are probably going to be due out on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of October, right before the actual release of Act 3. So what is going on with Act 3? In Act 3, starting on 16th, Flameheart's forces are once again under attack, according to the press release here. They are fortifying the skeleton fortresses to withstand renewed assaults on their vaults. With the arrival of October's game update, players can take to the fight to these reinforced Reaper fortresses, facing ghost ships, traps, and a host of formidable fighting foes. These fortresses and their advanced defenses will be available throughout Act 3 and will enter the usual world event rotation from Season 18 on. Their vaults hold a whole treasure trove of goodies, including Reaper's Bones loot. So set sail when Act 3 launches to sample this fresh new flavor of Fort Goodness. October's update will also include Outpost stock with a refreshed set of stuff coming in with the orange Resolute hull, flag, and sails, which is weird that they're doing the flag. Or if green's your autumn colors of choice, you'll be able to spend your gold on the Lucky Rover weapon set, which actually I like the lucky stuff. They said, meanwhile, spooky season arrives in the Emporium with a expanded jack-o'-lantern collection that now includes the collector's figurehead, ship sails and ship crest and trinket, and a long-awaited lantern, which I appreciate. It's nice that they're kind of rounding out that set. The Crimson Crypt items are also set for expansion by way of a cabin bundle for captain ships, while the brand new Alter Ego collection brings a conflicted costume set, concertina, and weapon to the Emporium itself. They said aisles, which is weird because the Emporium is just one building. It's like literally just one building on top of a thing. There's no aisles in there, but whatever. The true October's theme is a new pocket bat emote. Will also make a debut. And there's a ton of Emporium's most terrifying costumes will be on offer in a Festival of the Damned mega bundle. So a couple things with this. One, they're again leaning far too heavily into the Emporium content, and the actual game is just waning when it comes to new cosmetics. We complained about this a while ago when they started to put really cool stuff in the Emporium, and there was literally nothing coming to the game. They are now just, hey, you want an orange hull and a flag and some sails? We gotcha. You want some weapons? We gotcha. Where are the costumes, Rare? Stop putting everything cool into the Emporium. This is literally like, you want people to engage with the game, give them something to buy that they actually want to buy that is not going to force them to get ancient coin. This is a constant balance that they have to make. And it's the same reason why people started complaining about the Twitch drops. Twitch drops were just Ashen Winds recolors for years. And at this point, you have to sit there and say, like, okay, y'all really are not just getting away with this again, right? Like, these darn kids are just continuing to get away with this. And I'm going to say, like, the Outpost restock, the refresh is, it's pointless. It's you're going to go in, you're going to buy it, and you're not going to care because you'll add it to the collection, but it's not something you yearn for. It's not something you care about. Now, the argument could be made, okay, well, the Plunder Pass is something that is getting cool looking stuff that they're putting out every season. Cool. Well, yes, I understand that. This is a monthly update, one of 3 out of an entire season. The Plunder Pass is something that's there to incentivize players to buy the Plunder Pass so they get access to the other half of the content that is just specifically for the Plunder Pass for the entire season. If we're going to get monthly refreshes on stuff, and they're going to add expanded collection for the Jackal-Looter, for the Crimson Crypt, as well as a brand new Alter Ego costume set, ship set, concertina and stuff, they're literally touching 3 sets, with one of them being completely brand new. What did they do for Outposts? They gave you Lucky Rover weapons, and they brought out 3 set pieces to a ship, one of them being a flag. And to be perfectly frank, outside of the special flags that we get, like the Jolly Roger or the Pride flag, most people don't give a flying about these flags. So in my mind, the flags, because those are pointless. They're not even, nobody uses the ones that are actually like the code ones for flying certain colors to show your intent with sailing. They're literally just another part of the cosmetic, but they're such a small part of the cosmetic that they do not compare to getting an actual figurehead, maybe. So I'm very disappointed in the refresh. I think it is clear that they are coasting by without any notice and just putting out something for the sake of putting out something so they can say that they're not ignoring outposts. But at this point, if you're releasing an orange flag for gold, and that is we hit the bare minimum, congratulations. You did. You hit the bare minimum. I don't think anyone's going to be excited about this. And definitely no one's going to run to the oh my gosh, the shipwright. Kept wanting to say shipmaster, which I guess they would be, but that's not the right word. Nobody's going to run to the shipwright to be like, man, oh man, this finally fulfills my desire to have an orange flag. And I'm so glad that I picked up the yellow Resolute hull flag and sails the last time they did a refresh kind of thing. Like, no, do better. These are not that interesting. And it's kind of egregious that everything's just getting pushed to the Emporium. We used to get cool sets in game. We used to get cool rewards that were ship sets or costumes. We used to get full on crossover sets for events. There was a boom. There was literally a Borderlands 4 crossover event that didn't line up with the launch at all. But there was a Borderlands event where we got an entire ship set for the event. And the event was 2 weeks. And all you had to do is play around with kegs. Just go around and play around with kegs. And yeah, so I'm disappointed in Rare in this. This is a pittance in comparison to what they've done in the past, and just shows that what they need to do to keep the game going is sell more stuff in the Emporium. And to be perfectly frank, if that is your solution to keeping the game in production, then I don't know, make more compelling content. Maybe more compelling content. Maybe a Pirate's Life 2 would be a reason to get the players to come back, because looking at least, Steam, the last time the game was at its highest peak after launch was June 2021 with 63,000 players just on Steam, which compared to when it launched with 66,000. So I'm just saying, maybe we need to kind of look at like why people are playing the game instead of trying to sell them stuff. Sell the few of us that are still out here playing on a regular basis, sell them stuff in the Emporium. Maybe people will want to buy stuff because they appreciate it. I remember back in the day when Rare had just started up the Emporium, and maybe this is like starting to get into the territory of nostalgia kicking in. So I bear with me, but I kind of remember wanting to spend money in the Emporium because I was so appreciative of all the awesome content that we were getting on a regular cadence for free. And I was like, man, I actually really love the fact that I'm getting all this content. It really is awesome. And I'm happy to go and just start throwing money at the Emporium because, to be perfectly honest, I've been getting free content for a long time. And while Sea of Thieves has committed to releasing updates for free, it's not something that I think that they could afford to monetize right now. I don't think if they started charging for updates, people would care enough, because I don't think that the Smuggler's Heist, I genuinely don't think that this season is a season that people would have paid for if they had sold it to them. I think people would have paid for a Pirate's Life. People absolutely would have paid for Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones in a Pirate's Life. That is an update that I think people would have paid for. I think people would have paid for Monkey Island. It wouldn't have been as many, but I think that people would have paid for that. I think people would have paid for Anniversary Update. But Smugglers, that is not something that I think people would have paid for, and I don't even know how they would have segmented that if they did want to force people to not get access to it. It would be weird to run up to an item to not be able to do that kind of thing. All right, sorry, I ended up going on a bit of a rant there, and I guess it's mostly just because I'm trying to read through the month of October and figure out why I'm supposed to be excited. And I guess that kind of goes back to the whole point of the third act, which is the new fortresses. So skeleton forts have had their third iteration as of this update, and it's going to be interesting to see how people react to them, because the loot inside, based on insiders, is very interesting. I actually think that it's I have feelings on it. I think that the loot table is good, but I don't think that you're going to make a lot of gold off of it. And I worry that what they're asking you to do with that loot is going to force people to leave some of it behind. And I'm not going to go into details, but I'm just kind of a little bit of a tease there. The loot pool is interesting, I'll say that. They did mention in this that there are traps now, which is true. There are now traps, and the traps can be used defensively. They can be used offensively. Really depends on how you want to engage with them, if you want to engage with them at all. The ghost ship aspect to this is actually really nice. I like the ghost ship aspect to it. It's not terribly difficult on a sloop. But it'll be interesting to see how people engage with it. And then, of course, you've got the formidable fighting foes, which, yeah, I mean, it's accurate. It'll be interesting to see how people engage with that. I had the misfortune of playing one of these on Insiders at the worst fortress to try and do anything, which is no longer Old Boot Fort, and now is Lost Gold Fortress. So I was working on that one, and I'm not going to go into details or anything, but I will say that I enjoyed the shakeup of it. I think that the shakeup of these forts was cool. It was different, felt a little bit like we'd had some of the stuff in the past, but for all intents and purposes, I think this will kind of fall in the same category as the rest of the Smugglers season. People will get it done, and once they get it done, they will disengage with it, unless they're in for the actual fight. And if these are contested the way that I think they will be, it will be one of those things where I think people who enjoy that will have a good time with this. But I fully anticipate there being lots and lots of deaths, for multiple reasons. But namely just chaos. I think there's going to be a lot of chaos at these. So it'd be really interesting to kind of find out, like, how are people engaging with this? The interesting thing about the loot itself, and again, I'm not going to go into what is in there outside of what they've already talked about, which is the Reaper's Bones loot. I genuinely feel bad for people who have finished all of their Reaper's loot. This is going to be great for folks that haven't, because it's going to offer an opportunity for them to save some time and earn some other stuff, as well as working towards future commendations to be able to get some of these Reaper loot items outside of just the voyages themselves. So interesting there. Appreciate that. It'll be interesting to kind of see like what people do or how people react to this. But I did like the fortresses. I did think that they were interesting. It's just a matter of whether or not it lasts, and if people like the way that they've done the change up. All right, well, I feel like I've kind of belabored the point on what they're getting us for October, so let's talk about the stuff that is probably going to be the more interesting for players in the interim. On October 17th, the day after the actual drop, they are going to be releasing some Twitch drops. The Twitch drops are going to run for a month, and let me actually take a look here and make sure that I've got that. So Twitch drops are going to start on the 17th of October, that Friday, and they will run until the Friday after, which is the 24th. So plan on getting your Twitch drops before Friday the 24th. That is going to be your best bet, generally, to try and get those. alongside the rewards, they're going to have the 75,000 gold, a renown level, a voyage of luck. And they said that this batch of drops also allows viewers to score the mystical divination emote, the Eastern Winds Ruby Eye of Reach, Amethyst Mercenary Pegleg, the Mandrake Pistol, and the Order of Souls themed Skeleton Fort Raid Voyage. Now, there is something that I've heard across the board. Last Twitch drops, they offered the Gilded Ancient Isles Voyage, and I didn't get one. I know a bunch of people didn't get one. In fact, I heard some streamers talking about the fact that they didn't get one, and nobody seemed to really care. Nobody seemed to really be upset about that. I think if it was a cosmetic, it'd be different, but genuinely, I don't think that a lot of people are actually caring much about these voyages. I think that the Voyage of Luck is quick, easy, and has a potential for good payout. Going to go do a Gilded Athena, that's its own thing, but the fact that most people didn't get them and Rare didn't come out and apologize and say that they recognize that people didn't get them also speaks that Rare just does not care about those either. Because, and maybe they did, but you would think that they would have analytics on how many of those are getting done or completed, and seeing a significant drop compared to maybe the last time they offered a voyage in the Twitch drops might speak to either them not getting it to people not caring about doing it because it's just another voyage and there's plenty of ways to earn gold in the game, and that gold is not a good incentivizer for stuff. Cosmetics are the true currency of Sea of Thieves, and I don't think many people are going to really be interested in this Skeleton Fort of the Damned. Order of Souls themed Skeleton Fort Raid Voyage is just it's a dive to a skeleton fort in my mind. So why do we need this? Voyages are no longer a commodity. If outside of the Voyage of Luck and maybe a Gilded Athena, everything that they've given us is just, a random set of loot. Now, granted, the skeleton captain ones tend to be fun because that's just a bunch of kegs that go off when you find the first skeleton. You kill the first skeleton, a bunch of kegs blow up, and then you're good. You have some items that you can go blow up or go turn in. It's kind of fun. But anything outside of that or the other two that I mentioned are kind of lackluster, and there's not really much incentive to go do them, which just speaks to the fact that many people didn't talk about not getting theirs. And again, this is anecdotal. I don't have actual data on this, but I know I didn't. I know a few other people that didn't, and I heard some streamers talking about it as well. And it's kind of just like one of those things. So it's like, man, I really haven't heard anyone like posting photos of what they got from theirs, where that used to be a thing. It used to be like photos online on social media of people getting stuff, and it just kind of says like gold is not hard to get, and a lot of people have more than they care about. So but yeah, that's going to kick off as per usual. There's no mention here of whether or not this is going to be for everyone, for build rats, or for Twitch partners. Or no, I'm sorry, it does actually mention that. My apologies. It says that Sea of Thieves partners streaming on Twitch, which kind of sucks because there's a new string of Sea of Thieves partners that have been approved but have not been granted the access to that from the build rats team. It's crazy that they can get approved and then not have like any confirmation on whether or not they're actually going to be inducted into the old program or this new wave of community partners, which have much lower requirements. So it's very strange. Rare really needs to get Drew in to talk to people about what's going on, because for whatever reason, this is one of those situations where it's like they've told people about stuff, about becoming partner, but they haven't come out and clearly said, yes, you are part of the partner program. Please bear with us as we work to get you included in it. We are in and amongst an entire revision of that program to allow a different tier to then let players get another means of getting into the partner program at a smaller offering. we are working on that as we coincide with the original partner program. So yes, you are part of the original partner program. We just don't have a way to get you locked in right now. We were working on that. That's all that email has to be. It doesn't have to be a meeting. It doesn't have to be a Discord DM. It just has to be like a quick little note. Say, hey, I know we haven't gotten you into the partner program from the Build Rat team, but we're working on that. So please just bear with us as we finish up the whole New Wave Sea of Thieves partner thing, which I'm actually trying to find on their website. Because usually they have like a, hey, get involved thing. And I'm looking for that. Oh, here we go. Partner directory. And actually, was it? No, Discord forum. Yeah, partner directory. There's usually a way for them to actually like find out more about the partner program. And it has the standard like partner or variety creator, and then kind of how to join. And then the guidelines. So they've got the partner program and the creator program. And then they're going to be introducing a newer version of the partner program, which is going to be called New Wave. And that is going to offer people a way to get to the partner program on like a trial basis with smaller requirements and not as many perks, which is interesting. But I still think that they should have gone with the community program that they had, the creator crew in game, to show like, this is how you can actually do this. If you want to like have people like earn in-game achievements to be able to get those done, to actually show that, hey, they are streaming, they are getting the player base, stuff like that. So yeah, it's very interesting. So the Twitch drops are going to be for partners, partners only. Build rats aren't going to be included in this, and it's not going to be something that everyone can stream. So if you want these items, if you want the emissary or amethyst mercenary peg leg, if you want the mandrake pistol, the voyages, the gold, the renown, the eastern winds ruby, eye of reach, those are all going to be available from the 17th through to the 24th for partners only. Subsequently, on the 28th and going till November 4th, they're going to have an Emporium sale for the Halloween stuff. That's going to include the Crimson Crypt, the Graveyard Gladiator, which is the Minotaur set, the Soul Flame, which was something that was going to be originally like an in-game reward, I think, and the Blighted sets are all going to be slashed in prices, along with a heap of other emotes and stuff. So that's going to go on from the 28th through to the 4th. And then kind of the big thing is actually going to be on Friday, October 31st, Halloween. If you are not playing the game, then you're going to miss out on this because you're probably out trick-or-treating or taking the kids out to trick-or-treat, or I don't know, having a party, because who goes, who doesn't celebrate Halloween in some way on the 31st. So Golden Glory or Ghoul and Glory weekend is starting up on the 31st and going till Monday, November 3rd. And the Festival of the Damned flavored twist on the trusty Golden Glory event makes a return with boosted rewards await all who play during this period with extra gold, reputation, renown, and allegiance. Those are all up for grabs. The thing that I have issue with is that this is a Festival of the Damned flavored twist on the trusty Golden Glory, but there's no mention of doing Festival of the Damned or Fort of the Damned, which was the Festival of the Damned thing. They've really strayed from some of these seasonal or like holiday events. Now it is just a holiday event in name only. There's nothing that tells me from this announcement that there's anything special going on for Halloween. I mean, you look at Fortnite, they have a lot more people working on that game, but they've still managed to include older updates with a little bit of a refresh on the stuff that they're doing for them in the form of the Fort Nightmares content, which is a horde based or horde wave based fight. Ghoul and Glory, I don't know, stick pumpkins on the heads of the skeletons, guys. Like, work on it. It's a Halloween event. You're saying it's a Halloween event and everything except for the actual event itself. Like, how, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed. As always, Halloween is my favorite month. October is my favorite month of the year. It is my favorite holiday. I always look forward to this time of the year because it's the time that I get to have like the most fun with like movies and games, and anything spooky is just a lot of fun. And getting a Golden Glory weekend at the end of the month is no big surprise. The fact that they're calling it Ghoul and Glory, there's nothing ghoulish about what they're doing in this case. It's unless they surprise me, unless they come out and say, hey, we've gone and thrown jack-o'-lanterns on every single skeleton in the game during the weekend for the sake of having some fun. So go out and smash some pumpkins, and then maybe sing a song from Smashing Pumpkins, and then go watch a movie that had people throwing and smashing pumpkins like Trick or Treat. It's a good one there. But they're not doing anything like that. As far as I know, this is just a Golden Glory that they changed the word gold to ghoul. And that's just, we had better. We've done better in the past. I don't know why some of these old events are locked away in the history of Sea of Thieves to never return, to give commendations for people that want to. Like, you can go do all the commendations that you want. Like, there are the lantern, kill certain skeletons affected by certain lanterns. Like, there's ways to get to do that, right? But they pride themselves on not taking anything out of the game, but then refuse to bring back the events that actually were associated with those during holiday events that are an annualized thing. Like, it's one time out of the year to just bring the event. And I feel like I'm getting on the soapbox again. Okay, I am done. Golden Glory weekend kicking off the 31st through the 3rd. I'm disappointed that that's all it is. I'm disappointed that Rare has not been able to come up with anything fun. Repaint the kegs for sake. Make them look like jack-o'-lanterns. Paint them all orange. How hard is that? You guys gave us a bucket last year that was painted orange. It was a sailor's bucket painted to look like a cheap jack-o'-lantern. And aesthetically, for the type of bucket that it was, that works. And you guys are giving us stuff in the Emporium, but I don't want to have to spend a bunch of money for stuff in the Emporium to get my spook on. Where's the spook in the game? Gourds. Okay, you guys gave me gourds. All right, what else? That's it. That's literally it. I feel very disenchanted with what they're doing. And it's probably because I care a lot about Halloween and they aren't, that I'm just disappointed. There's so much other cool stuff. They put a pocket bat emote in the game. Just make it a bat. Just invest the time into making it a bat, like an actual pet. I'd go buy a pet. They didn't even put a sale on. Like, there's no mention of the Halloween styled pets, the ashen cursed pets, or like, put a ghost dog in the game. It feels lazy. And I know they're working on other stuff, but this whole commitment to splitting up the content into 3 acts for each season, it just doesn't leave a whole lot of room on top of the work that they're putting in towards ensuring that game stability is there, and that they're working on fixes like this, the weapon swap and stuff like that, FOV changes, fixes like that. They're working on season 18 right now, but it's not like October snuck up on us, y'all. It comes every year. It comes at the same time every year. So I think they could have done better. I think they're at this point looking at what Rare is releasing for the ship store, what they're doing for the Golden Glory weekend, what they've announced for the Twitch drops. It just comes across as hitting the minimum. They're just hitting the minimum. And the big thing that they can really point to say, like, this is what we've invested our time into, is the smuggler's heist, the smuggler cargo runs, and the forts, the revamps on the forts. And to be perfectly honest, that would be fine if that was something that people were engaging with and people enjoyed it and people had like lore to go to, and there was like story that was present, in a very exposition way, not just one journal or going around and reading six other journals in the game, but having actual storytelling. And I think this is, and to Rare's credit, the smugglers speaking and having voice work is a good step in the right direction. Keep doing that. because that's a good way to deliver exposition. People will sit there and listen to someone talking to them as opposed to having to force someone to read a journal, which is effectively just a bunch of, that's another thing too. I feel like I'm going on a real big rant here, but the journals have to change. Please stop forcing 1 to 2 lines per index, like, or per page. Have the journal, when I interact with it, pop up with the full paragraph. Just give me the whole paragraph, please. It's much easier to back out of one paragraph when I'm getting sliced up by skeletons or rammed by pigs, to back out of that, as opposed to having to try and like get to the journal and then filter my way back to each page and actually have to find out like what page I was at. It's much quicker just to see where my spot was in a paragraph. So please, each journal is like 1 paragraph long. Just show me the whole paragraph. All right, pirates. I feel like I've gone on and ranted, and I apologize if you were hoping for something positive. I will tell you that I am positive about the fort being interesting. And I think that people that have been playing the game that have gotten or have some commendations that they haven't been able to knock out for a very long time should maybe take a look at this fortress, because I think they're going to help you out in this case. There's a bit of feedback that I think they've done a good job with, and I'll be curious to see if people jump in and take advantage of this opportunity to actually utilize the loot pool to help fulfill some of those outstanding commendations. And I hope that players kind of, do the due diligence of actually trying to help out with that as well too, depending on like, what you need or what's going on. And I have to be kind of cryptic about that, because folks are sensitive about spoilers, and I don't want to toss something out there that would be considered a spoiler. But if you're curious, Insiders is out there. We can talk about it in the SOT Insider channel on the Discord. But yeah, that's about it. I really I'm disappointed with my favorite holiday being once again ignored by Rare, and us just getting the bare minimum. But pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully we'll have more interesting things to talk about in the upcoming week, and we'll have to see like what actually gets announced. I know I'm probably going to be checking out the new forts when those launch next week. But until then, pirates, that's going to do it. If you want to get a hold of me, there's plenty of ways to do so. Apologies, Owen. I did see your email. I did not get a chance to sail with you. So sorry about that. Usually easier to get a hold of me in the Discord channel, because that's usually where I actually check a lot of messages that get sent to me. So definitely feel free to send me messages there. You can also send me messages through Patreon, email, on social media. I try to get to those as much as possible and try not to read them and then forget that I read them and then not see the notification, then completely have it blank out on my mind because I get distracted, and I'm pretty sure I've got ADHD. But pirates, that's going to do it. So pirates, thank you so much for listening. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves. Okay, I thought I was done ranting. This is a little bonus part at the end here. I really want them to do something interesting next year. You have an entire year to work on it, Rare. So, put this on the docket. How about painting the mermaid statues to look like scarecrows and having them with like little sticks or something like to make them look like scarecrows, putting pumpkins on their heads. You could add a shooting range on the tavern rails to have pumpkins or like little fiery bags, and they get knocked off every time you hit them with a gun or with a knife or something like that. Have a pumpkin carving emote, anything besides nothing outside of flipping switches, for the love of everything that's holy in this game. Son of a